Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of City of Champions with Minneapolis. This is episode 11, the end of season 11, and we are 2 more championships closer to our goal of 13. I think that puts us at 9. And we're definitely starting to see some sort of haves and have-nots here with titles. You know, if you want to liken it to, since we're comparing this to the Boston run, we definitely have a Red Sox and Patriots side of things and a Bruins and Celtics side of things, where the Bruins and Celtics each won 1 title, and the Patriots and Red Sox were responsible for the majority of what went on in the city of Boston. And we're experiencing that here in Minneapolis as well. We'll start with the Timberwolves, since they're up on the screen. They won their 4th NBA championship this past season. If we look at, I guess we do it from schedules. We defeated the San Antonio Spurs in the first round in 6 games. We then went on and beat the Trailblazers, I believe, in 5. Yep, beat the Trailblazers in 5. Took on the New Orleans Pelicans in the Western Conference Finals. We beat them in 7. And then against the Cleveland Cavaliers, we were down 3 games to 1, and we won games 4, 5, 6, and 7. To take that series in 7 games as well. So our 4th title with the Timberwolves, and our job security is back up to 100. It was at 0. So 11 seasons. We've made the playoffs 10 times. We have 9 winning seasons and 4 championships. If that doesn't keep us, I don't know what will. So if we look at our roster, and there were some pretty big changes. The biggest being that our starting power forward from last year, Adam Gordon, refused to re-sign with us. Just flat refused. I offered him a 5-year contract worth whatever the max was, and he just wouldn't sign. He ended up signing with the Utah Jazz, 4 years, whatever that is, $30 million a year. So we had to replace him, and I tried for hours. I spent probably 6 or 7 hours over the span of a couple of days trying to replace Gordon at the power forward, and I just couldn't do it. There just weren't any options. I couldn't do a sign and trade. I couldn't sign a free agent. I tried to trade John Morant for a power forward. Just nothing worked. So I said, the hell with it. We're going to run with a small lineup. So in the draft, we picked up Radko Lipichev with the 3rd overall pick. That's where we ended up in the lottery. I think we had Denver's pick. We ended up with the 3rd pick in the draft, and we took Radko Lipichev. He's going to be a pretty good scorer, and he's 6'9", 231 pounds. His ratings suggest he's more of a wing type player. But we've played him at power forward all season because we just didn't have anybody. And he did okay. He did all right. I would like to see him in the small forward role, which will likely happen next year, because this is going to be it for John Morant. He's in this was the final year of his contract. His stats were down across the board, but again, that's partially because of where I was playing him. I had him playing the 3 all season long. So we ran with a small lineup, and we ran with the 7 seconds or less. They changed it. Okay. They changed it. Most of the year I had 7 seconds or less running, and we just ran up and down the court. Scored as many points as we could, and yeah, so that's kind of how things worked with the roster. We signed Nicholas Claxton as a free agent because we wanted some defensive depth. Because again, because we weren't a big team, I wanted to make sure we had some solid defensive players. You can see our bench. We brought in just a bunch of Hall of Famers. We brought in Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Nikola Jokic. None of them played much. OG Anunoby. Yeah, and we brought back Brad Butler at the trade deadline again because of that defensive ability. It's like I think the 2nd time we've traded for him. We traded Matt McCleary, who was our 1st round pick, whatever it was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Just didn't work out. He just didn't work out. He wasn't scoring. He wasn't giving us what we needed. So we traded him to the Hawks for Brad Butler, Derek Powell, and 3 second-round picks from Atlanta. Atlanta's not very good, so I'm hoping those will at least be high second-round picks. If not, they're assets that we can use in other deals. So We brought back Brad Butler, and we won our 4th title. If we look at statistics, Jameel Ashburn led us in scoring, 21 points, almost a little over 9 rebounds a game, 2.5 blocks a game. Ja Morant was our second leading scorer, but again, this will be his final season with us. We're going to run with a backcourt next year of Xavier Brown and Dale Dyer. Trent Means, we signed him to a long-term deal. I don't know that I want to keep him. That's a lot of money for a backup guard. I would rather move on if I can and go Morant, Dyer, Lipichev, Ashburn, and then find ourselves a power forward. So that's, I think, going to be the play this offseason. We will let Morant walk. We will try to trade Trent Means, and we will run Dyer as our point guard, Brown as our 2, Lipichev as our 3, Ashburn as our 5, and then we find a 4. Xavier Brown had another really nice season. He was hurt for part of the year, but, I mean, considering we drafted him 20th overall, he's turned into a great player. Assists were down a little bit this year. Rebounds were up. Scoring was down a little bit, so he wasn't quite as good this year as he was previous years, but his scoring's up to a 99, and I think next year we unleash him without Morant. He could be a 20-point-a-game guy. We talked about Means. He was okay. I mean, 14 points, 3.5 assists, 4.5 rebounds. I mean, that's pretty damn good for a guard. So Dale Dyer, his second full season. Second full season or third? Second full season, yes. Scoring jumped. Assists were up a bit. Rebounds were up a bit. He is going to be a pretty damn good player. His scoring's an 86. So 4 of our starters, Ashburn, Brown, Dyer, and Lipichev all have scoring of 84 or higher. So we have gonna have a lot of offense. Norwood, his second full season with us this time around. We may try to re-sign him. He's done a really nice job off the bench for us. He doesn't particularly like me or the team right now. But yeah, we might try to bring him back. I might try to bring Butler back again on like a mid-level exception or something like that. He's just so valuable as a rebounder and a defensive player. And you can see Booker and Anunoby and Mitchell. We just signed all the big name veterans as depth for the team. So that's kind of where we are. So again, off-season plans will be letting Morant go, seeing if we can get something of value for Means, and upgrading the 4. And I believe we also have another high round pick again this year. We have Detroit's and ours, and Detroit was not good. Detroit was 29 and 53, so they will be in the lottery. So we're going to have another lottery pick this season. So that is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Let's take a look at the other team that won it all, and that was a team that has had a lot of success so far, the Minnesota Twins. And the Twins go back to back here. We finish 104 and 58, and we defeat the Twins in Game 7 of the World Series, 1-0. So, yeah, just another great season for us. Obviously, we didn't win 117 games like we did last year, but just another great season for us. Made a couple of deals in the offseason. The first was to bring on Christopher Diaz. He hit 34 home runs, drove in 103 with Chicago a year ago. We signed him to a 1-year contract worth about $9 million, $10 million. He's ARB eligible this year. I don't know that I'm going to re-sign him because he wasn't all that good, but we might. We'll see. And then we traded for Rafael Velazquez as we allowed our catcher from last year, who is escaping me. The guy who plays for the Mets right now. I can't remember his name, but we let him go. And we traded for Velazquez. We traded Jorge Rosales, who is a 2-star, 3-star potential starting pitcher. Really bad control. Doesn't really have a change. So my guess is he'll end up as a reliever. Picked up Velazquez, who hit 14 home runs, drove in 58. CJ Swallen was knocked out for the year before he threw a pitch this year, unfortunately. His contract is up at the end of this year. I'm not sure what I'm going to do there. We traded for Tommy Roldan from Tampa Bay to bolster the lineup. And we had to give up a bunch. We had to give up 5 players. We gave up Moses Irizarry, who was sort of the big name here for us, an outfielder with some pop. Manny Alvear, who is the number 243 prospect in the game, looks like he could, low ceiling, high floor kind of guy. And then filler, Bruce Ramirez, Josh Frisbee, and Jose Melendez, picking up Tommy Roldan, who was fragile, but made it through a full season. Made 26 starts, 146 innings pitched, 3 WAR, really good numbers. He's a free agent, so we're gonna have to try to bring him back. So those were the deals we made from a roster perspective. We didn't do anything at the trade block because we didn't need to. We are at the trade deadline. We were like 15 games up or something like that. So we just sort of ran with. I take that back. We made a deal for a couple of relievers, I believe. Kawashima we signed as a free agent. No, we traded for him from Boston. Gave up just a couple of 1-star, 2-star minor leaguers, nothing of real note. He wasn't very good. I don't think I don't think closer's the right role for him. So I think we are definitely gonna have to find some way to find some work that we need, or find somebody who can actually be a closer. And I thought we made one more deal for a bullpen arm. Maybe we didn't. That may have been it. Yeah. Kawashima was the only. So we didn't make a lot of deals. Chase Petty just continues to have a great career. He's now 30 years old, one of our first draft picks, a 20-win season, went 21-5 this year. Has just been rock solid for nearly a decade for us. In 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seasons, he's 116-45. He's not going to make the Hall of Fame or anything like that, but I mean, if he has another 3-4 seasons like this, he could easily be a 40 WAR pitcher. He could win 150 games. So Chase Petty's been phenomenal. Corbin Burns had another amazing season, 19-7, 2.26 ERA, 203 innings, 206 strikeouts, another 8.6 WAR. We signed him to an extension, a 3-year, $75 million extension. So he's going to make 25 next year, and then there's 2 team options at 25 after that. So I have to think that his ratings will at least survive through next season. And then, I can do what I need to do beyond that. So we signed Petty to a 3-year deal. Cyprian had a bit of a down season. I mean, from an ERA perspective, still struck out a ton of batters, walked less, led the league in Ks per 9. As BABIP was, ERA was a bit higher, but overall, still a fine season, less than a hit per inning. Gave up a few more home runs than I would like, but he's still only 25, still making the league minimum. And then our bullpen was really good. Ashcroft, Bauman, Brewster, Campbell. They were all really, really good. Only Jordy Parks, who only made 2 starts this year, only 2 pitching appearances for the now 28-year-old Parks, was a negative WAR pitcher. I guess Ashcroft too was at 0 WAR. So overall, pitching was fantastic. Offense continues to just be an absolute ridiculous joke. Acuna, 38 home runs, 103 RBIs, another 8 WAR. His contract is up after this season. We'll see what he wants to come back. I can't imagine. Yeah, I can't pay him that. We'll see if I can talk him down from that. But we have some players that are ready to step in. Khalil Watson continues to perform. He put up almost 7 WAR. He's now 30. Alex Moreno at 25, his first full season. Walked 112 times, put up 5 WAR. Jody Parks put up 5 WAR. Marcelo Meyer with another good year. Cole Bourbon took a step back a little bit. We tried to teach him first base because I wanted to get Moreno out there. Velasquez, we talked about. Bobby Esquivel was our young second base prospect. His first full season was really good. 817 OPS, 121 OPS plus, 2.5 WAR. Brady House continues to do really good things as a platoon style player. So we signed him to a 3-year, $4.5 million contract. Talked about Diaz. Ohtani's time is probably up. So from a need perspective, we have some free agents. We've got Acuna, who is a free agent. We've got Roldan, who's a free agent, and we've got Zwolin, who is a free agent. So 3 big-name free agents that we need to re-sign. We have plenty of money to do so I'm not worried about that. We are extreme fan loyalty and a very big market size now. So we are officially a big market team in Minneapolis with the success we've had. Draft. I don't remember much of the draft, unfortunately. I did this like a week ago. But thankfully, Out of the Park Baseball does a great job of giving us that information. Our first round pick was J.R. DeBoer, who's already dropped down to 2 stars. Wonderful. Looks like he has 3 good pitches. Our supplemental first round pick was Pat Wolf. Low ceiling, high floor kind of guy, really good control. Hammett, center fielder Danny Hammett, looks to be a pretty decent bat. I don't know that he'll stick in center field with those ratings, probably a left fielder, but looks like he could be pretty damn good. Eric Stewart, and this is when we got into, looking for individual type. This guy had 4 good pitches, so I drafted him. Danny Bell, we drafted him for his defense. Just not very good drafts. Now, that being said, we do have the top prospect in baseball in Tony Henriquez. He's not ready yet. So I might see if, we can bring Acuna back for 2 years, because we've got Henriquez, Morales, and another outfield prospect. If we look at Bobby Morales, he's about ready. At age 19, he's about ready. He'll probably start the season in AAA, but he is about ready to go. If you look at our prospect pipeline, where is he? David Leyva is another outfield prospect who's almost ready to go, along with Dave Maynard. So we have a ton of young outfield depth. Kevin Bolar was our first round pick a couple of years ago. He'll probably be in the rotation next year, but we have a ton of outfield depth. Henriquez, Morales, Tony Hendez is only 16, Leyva, and Maynard. So we've got 4 outfield prospects that we can kind of sort of play with here. We might try to bring Acuna back for a year or 2. See if he'll take one of those, 3 years with 2-team options kind of things. Diaz, see if we can bring him back for, technically he's ARB eligible, so we'll have him for a year. So we might not make a lot of changes offensively this year. Next year, things could look a lot different. Next year, we could have both Henriquez and Morales up. Really, only changes we need to make here are figure out what we want to do with our free agents, and then maybe add a closer. And then kind of go from there. So I think that's the plan for Minnesota. Now, let's take a look at the teams that didn't win this year. We will start with the Minnesota Wild. Frustrating year with the Wild because we were really, really good. Second best record in the Western Conference, 110 points, 52, 24, and 6. And in the playoffs, we lost in the Stanley Cup Finals. So we made the finals. Devils won in 5 games, but we made it, which was better than we had done in the past. So made the finals, but couldn't pull it out in the end. Just look at stats here. Our big free agent signing was Ivan Demidov, who is a 27-year-old winger, had back-to-back 30-goal seasons with Buffalo. We signed him, and all he did was score 47 goals, put up 85 points, was a beast. Again, very spread out scoring, very similar to what we had last year. Ekberg centered our top line, had 70 points. Yefimовich centered our second line, had 66. Howe and Kakko. Kakko was hurt part of the year, so 52 points in 63 games. We had Gingera, Demidov, and Ekberg on that top line. Oh, no, we had Demidov on the second line. I'm sorry. We had Ekberg, Kakko, and Gingera on the top line. And Brendan didn't score as much as I thought he might, but we're going to leave him on that top line because the development is there. He's up to 3.5 stars now, and that offense at 17 leads me to believe that he'll be a productive offensive player. Florentine Lang had a nice year. Cale Makar, probably his final season with us. His contract is up. He wants like $9 million for a year, so we may resign him, we may not. I haven't quite decided yet. Kyle Locke, who was the number 1 overall pick a year ago, 42 points in 74 games in his debut. He looks ready to step into Makar's role as the number 1 defenseman at the age of 20. McKinney with a good season. Overall, it was a very, very good season for us offensively. Goaltending, we kind of went back. I don't want to say went back in time because it was only a year or so. But we brought Sergei Ivanov back. We paired him with Hermanni Toivonen, split the games right down the middle, and both goalies were pretty good. Ivanov was better, 23-16-2, but with a 2.77 and a 9.13. Toivonen 29-8, 2.90 and a 9.05. So good goaltending and good scoring. We just couldn't get it done in the postseason. So changes to this team. Defensively, there are going to be some changes. Like I said, Makar is likely gone. I might try to move on from Mazden Leslie. That's a lot of money for a 3-star forward who only scored 14 points a year ago and is supposed to be an offensive-minded forward. We brought in Charlie McAvoy at the trade deadline because of that defense. But, yeah, so our right side is pretty well set with Vezina, Kiviharu, and Adam Nilsson as our 3 on the right. The left is going to look different. The only one that I know we're going to bring back for sure is Kyle Locke. Beyond that, it could be a very different team. Did I? Because both of these guys show Vezina and Kiviharu. I re-signed them both, right? Kiviharu, I didn't. Let's get that locked down right now. So that I don't forget. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. 4500000. Let's bump that up a year. Use for all. Okay. So 3 years, $4.7 million for Kiviharu. We should get him back. So Makar wanted 8.6 for 1 year. I don't know that I want to bring him back for that. So we're going to be looking for a defenseman on the left side for sure, at least one. Forward-wise, I don't see that we're going to make a whole lot of changes. We'll see what young players are out there like we normally do and make a run at those. But defensively is where we're going to make a run. And then depth charts. Now we have Marek Hornrich coming up as well. So I don't know that we're going to make a lot of changes on the offensive side of things. Let's see we don't have a first round pick this year either. Who was our first round pick a year ago? What year are we in? 2033? So it would have been 2032. Kurjakov, I think, was 2031 as well. Yeah, he was our first round pick in 2031. He'll probably be up next year. Maybe not. Maybe as our 7th defenseman. We have a lot of goaltending prospects. Clark Boswell, Tommy Sullivan, Pavel Barkuzov, and Carl Anton Olofsson. So a lot of good goaltending depth in our minor leagues. We just don't have much depth. We've traded a lot of those first round picks. So this could be a year where we don't. I don't make a move at the deadline, or I don't make a move in free agency, a big move in free agency because. Or not in free agency, but a trade during the season, because I'd like to keep those first-round picks so we can sort of build up the minor league system a little bit. But we're in good shape. I mean, we're in very good shape from a forward perspective. We're in good shape from a defensive perspective as well. I mean, Locke, Kiviharu, Vezina, Nilsson are a fantastic top 4. Cameron Allen is not a bad, third pairing offensive-minded defenseman, and then we just need to bring in somebody to put along that top 4. So we're in good shape here. This is the one team we haven't won anything with yet. So I would love to get at least one with the Wild here. We have 6 more seasons to do so. So we'll see what happens. And last but certainly not least, the Minnesota Vikings. The Minnesota Vikings, we finished. It was another great regular season for us. We finished 11-5. We had the second highest scoring offense in the NFL and the best defense in the NFL. But we got knocked out in, I think, the divisional series. We had to play a wild card game. Yeah, we played a wild card. No, we didn't. Stop talking. think about what you want to say. We won our wild card matchup against Seattle and then lost to the Packers in the divisional round 28-17. So another good regular season for us. Couldn't get it done in the postseason, though. Statistically, Randall Oglesby had another good season as our starting quarterback, 4,300 yards, 34 touchdowns. He's got 1 year left on his deal before we probably hand it over to Ronald Larson. Running attack, led by Patrick Clifford. We have to get him a backup. Our backup situation has been pretty abysmal. Clifford Donovan was no good. Jeffrey Gale was a draft pick. Yeah, so we got to get him a backup running back this year. Receiving, Justin Jefferson just continues to amaze. 98 catches, 1,300 yards. He's now up to 1,300 receptions on his career for over 15,000 yards and 89 touchdowns. His ratings are starting to drop. He's now 33. He could retire. I mean, I could click end of season and he could be gone. Denver Betts with another great season for us. His fourth straight year with us with over 70 catches and 1,000 yards. Has 49 touchdown catches for us in 4 seasons. Craig Davis with another great season at tight end for us. David Gonzalez was the backup. Abel Kellum was a free agent signing, had 8 touchdown catches, only 35 catches, but 8 of them went for touchdowns. Patrick Clifford does a pretty nice job out of the backfield. Defensively, Edward Bailey led us in tackles again, 121 tackles on the year. He's been just a monster for us since we picked him up. Omar Sumner, another 20-sack season. He's now 31 years old. He could be our first big-time draftee to retire here. He's gone through 10 seasons, averaging 16 sacks a year. He's a beast. He is a beast. Interception leaders, we had a bunch with 3. Bailey, Sean Davis, who was a trade acquisition because we needed a free safety. He's 33 years old. He signed for 3 more years after this one, but he is a 92 overall free safety, so we have that position locked up. Joseph Cochran continues to play well. So defensively, we're in really good shape. From a contract perspective, I don't think we have a ton to do. Jefferson, we need to try to bring back. He isn't interested in the money we're offering him, so I'll try again. I guess we do have a lot. Justin Jefferson, Adoree Jackson, we signed as a free agent, 1 year, $15 million. He actually wasn't that good. So we'll probably let him go. Edward Bailey, I'd like to bring him back, obviously, if we can. And that's about Bigelow we need to bring back. I didn't realize he was a free agent as well. So I do have some things that I need to do here. I don't know that I'm going to be able to do them before free agency, but I'll certainly try. From a draft perspective, it was not a great draft. We had a couple of 70 level players, but nobody that was elite. You can see we had I think was it Rodriguez who was our top overall pick. Yeah, first pick, 28th overall, Gene Rodriguez, 22-year-old out of Notre Dame, 73 overall. Our second round pick, Sergio Knox, a 22-year-old defensive tackle, 72 overall. Our third pick was whom? I just don't remember the order we drafted these guys in, unfortunately. Cody Grice, just a terrible pick. 60 overall, third round, 28th overall in the third round. 1 tackle on the year, just awful. Fourth round pick, Frank DeMarco, 69 overall defensive tackle. Fifth round pick, John Bowling, a 70 overall guard. Jeffrey Gale we drafted in the 7th round, a 62 overall fullback. And so it wasn't, we got some depth, but nobody that would really kind of, blow you away. So for us, we have some issues free agency wise. We're gonna have some money, so we should be able to re-sign them if we can give them the right deal. But Bigelow, I'm concerned about, a 23-year-old, 84 overall defensive tackle or tackle. I'm not sure how I missed that, but I did. I'd love to bring him back. I'd like to bring Jefferson back. I'd like to bring Bailey back, and then we kind of go from there. So we have 1 title with the Minnesota Vikings in 11 seasons now. In 2030, we went 11-6 and won it all. I don't know why we only played 16 games this year. That's happened a couple of times. in this playthrough where, for whatever reason, the game doesn't register an 18-game season or an 18-week season for us, and we don't play that 17th game, but, it is what it is. So, so that's going to do it. So we are now up to 9 titles, 4 for the Twins, 4 for the Timberwolves, 1 for the Vikings, none for the Wild. So we're up to 9 titles in 11 seasons. We need 4 more championships in the next 7 seasons to get where we want to go. I think we're in pretty good shape. We'll see how it goes, though. So stay tuned next week for season number 12. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.